Good evening, everybody. I am your host, Kushan, and welcome back to Command Modern Air Naval Operations. Tonight I am going to be streaming the latest Command Life scenario, Black Gold Blitz. Now, I did start this back in early November, right after it was released. Unfortunately, that weekend I was also horribly sick. Um, and so I've decided, and amongst other reasons, most notably, other than being sick and it being a month and forgetting what I was doing, I accidentally deleted the install with the save on it. So, yeah, I'm going to be restarting. So, for those that don't know, this is the latest Command Live scenario. It's a Saudi Arabia versus Iran, where each is striking at the other's oil infrastructure. And like my last playthrough, I am going to be playing as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, mainly because if we play as Iran, we're probably just going to get hammered. Um, so, and I'm more familiar with the equipment since we will have basically F-15Cs, F F-15 F-15s, F-15S fighters, which I think are the E model for that the Saudis have. We've got tornadoes. We've got a couple of, or I'm sorry, the F-15SA I think is the F-15E in Saudi service. We also have a couple DF-21 missiles deploying, and as well as a couple of DF-3s. We can request additional missiles via special actions. And so the principal targets are the Karg Island export terminal and as many of Iran's domestic oil refineries as possible. Beyond that, oil rigs, pipeline segments, power plants are all viable targets as well. Absent the northern base S-300s, the defenses cannot completely stop a strike package, but can maul it. POWs will be an important bargaining chip, therefore losses of aircraft must be kept as low as possible. The game's defenses, even in a severely weakened state, are more than capable of stopping any conventional air offensive by the Iranians. The wild card is their ballistic missile complex. An apocalyptic barrage is possible, but unlikely. Our intelligence believes that they view a long-term deterrent to threaten the Gulf and keep oil prices as high as an important security priority. All right, blah 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 blah. Kuwait, the UAE, Qatar, and Oman have forbidden to use their airspace. Our other neighbors have either allowed us to pass through or are in no shape to contest. So let's go ahead and get started. So it is a one-day scenario. So let's go ahead and take a look at our forces. As you can see here, we've got our oil pipeline. Looks like we already have a couple of F-15C Eagles airborne. Looks like they are armed with Sparrows and Sidewinders. I'm going to go and group those two together, and I'm going to send them just to kind of play a bar cap here. Let's see. And then at Dhahran Air Base, looks like we've got the rest of 13 Squadron of F-15Cs, the F-15S. So it looks like the S is the F-15E as well. So we got F-15S's armed for air-to-air, and a couple armed for air-to-ground, and a lot of Tornadoes armed for various ground attack, alarm, anti-radiation missiles, paveways, and Storm Shadow cruise missiles. Down here farther south at Al Karj, Prince Sultan Air Base. We've got support aircraft. We've got some E-3As, some RE-3As, which are Eland aircraft, some Airbus A330s as tankers, some E-3As, KE-3A sentries with configured as tankers. A Saab 2000 early warning, and a couple of C-130s configured as tankers. In the southeast or southwest at King Khalid Air Base, we have some more F-15Ss armed with GBU-12s and sharpshooter pods, and some F-15SAs with JDAMs. Farther north, King Fahd Air Base. Eurofighter 2000s with Meteors. Another squadron of Eurofighters with AMRAAMs. And a couple of additional squadrons of F-15Cs with Sparrows and Sidewinders. The Sparrow is the predecessor to the AMRAAM, except unlike the AMRAAM, it's semi-active homing, which means that the firing aircraft has to keep a radar lock on it, which limits maneuverability after firing the missile. And then up here in the northwest, at King Faisal Air Base, we've got some more F-15Cs armed with Sparrows and Sidewinders. And I think that is all of our air bases. Oh, I think we have one more. Nope. King Khalid Military City doesn't have anything stationed at it. And neither does Riyadh. So that's our forces. So I think the first thing we're going to go ahead and do here is get... Do we have an early warning? Alright, so we already have a Saab 2000 airborne. I am going to send it to the north. In fact, I'm actually going to create a mission for it up here in the north. It's not currently... I want to deselect all reference points, which is Control End. I'm actually going to assign a mission to this, so add a reference point there. I don't want a really big patrol zone. I don't want the radar coverage of this to get too... I don't like having really large patrol zones. Adding mission. Support. PEW North. Third rule, make sure MCON settings, radar should be active. And we'll just go ahead and assign our Saab to that. I'll just manually assign any additional aircraft as they come up. I'm not going to assign them all now. Alright, so he should go into station. Next up, I know from previous playthrough that we are probably going to see an Iranian airstrike on us, so I'm going to hold a couple of squadrons ready for launch. Will be the F-15Cs here at King Abdullah. Dhahran Air Base is what I'm going to call it, since I obviously am going to just butcher names on this. Let's see. So we've got tankers. If we were to launch Eurofighters, our Eurofighters have range of 180 minutes at 200 or at 100 nautical miles cap. So what we're going to do, that should get them... They should have well the range to travel over here, but they'll probably be pretty low on fuel. So what I'm going to do is set up a refueling mission. Now this one I will actually set it a little farther apart, since you don't, with refueling missions, you don't want the reference points too close together, because then I believe when aircraft turn, I think maybe they have to disengage. To be honest, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that behavior before. So I like to have my tanker tracks a little longer. So add new mission. Make a support. Air-to-air refueling east. And for the moment, I am just going to assign... Make sure radar's turned off on that. Yep. So I'm going to assign my... Oh, sand battery. I'm going to assign my Airbus A330s to this refueling mission, and then I will launch additional aircraft as required. So I'm going to go ahead and assign 24 Squadron number 1. He's assigned to the mission, and go ahead and launch individually. Again, I will attach additional aircraft as required as we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use my... I'm going to launch these guys in groups of probably 3. I'm going to try and use my Eurofighters over here as basically my combat air patrol to blunt any Iranian attacks. That way I can keep my F-15Cs for strike escort. And is there anything else? Alright, I think for the moment we're good on there. Let's see, what do we have to... Alright, so I think I'm going to keep my strike aircraft on the ground for the moment. I'm not going to launch any strikes. I do want to kind of get an idea of the Iranian dispositions before I start launching. I do know for a fact that they have F-14s airborne. Alright, with that, I'm going to go ahead and just kick up the time Excel here. Alright, we are picking up some vampires. Those would probably be ballistic missiles. Oh, and one thing we're going to go do, before I forget, I am going to pause it here. We're going to go to Special Actions, and we are going to request additional ballistic missiles. Has been executed, so we do have a request granted. A unit of obsolete DF-3s has been authorized for launch. We might as well use them up in anger. Alright, and then so also down here we have Saudi DF-21s, but it's only a battalion, and it's only 4 missiles. Our DF-3s are also only 4 missiles, but hey, that's 4 that we didn't have before. Anything? I don't think I'm missing any other missiles in here. No, those are all SAM batteries, SAM batteries. We've got a lot of IHawks. A couple Patriot batteries. From what I remember, the Iranian air defenses, they also have a lot of IHawks. They also have a S-300 that I think is, in this scenario, is up around Tehran. So as long as we avoid that area, we should be okay. And so let's go ahead and launch our own strike. So they have a lot more missiles than we do. In this scenario, it's really to, I think, kind of to make up for the fact that they have their aircraft stand a pretty slim chance of doing serious damage. So let's see, what do we got here? The Arak refinery, thermal power plant, are any of those multi-unit? No. Alright, so I'm going to go for power station. I am looking to see where SA-5s... I can't remember, do SA-5s have a ABM capability? They can target missiles and guided bombs, but I don't know if that means that they can actually hit a ballistic missile. So I think our DF-21s. Let's see, that's got a radar up there, so I'm gonna fire my DF-20 or DF-3s. Oh, come on, DF-3, unit orders, TAC manual. Oh. Okay, so we can't engage that for another couple seconds. Alright, so missiles there. Target 1 on that refinery. And thermal power plant. What else is on that kind of that same bearing? We will go for the REC refinery. Alright, so those are, we'll expend our older missiles first. There they go. And by the way, I want this guy up at max altitude. Okay, he's already at max altitude. Alright, so there goes our DF-3 missiles. Hope the sound is okay. Nobody has said anything in the chat, so I'm going to assume that that the sound's okay. Alright, missiles are airborne. And incoming. I believe those are probably targeted on our coastal refineries and pipeline. Nope, there's a second or first group of vampires that we missed. Yep, we're losing them as they go over our radar. We should be picking them back up here shortly. Yep, those are definitely going for the Ras Tanura oil refinery over there. Yeah, this is gonna hurt. Well, our lone Patriot battery is firing. I just don't think... Well, it was firing. It just doesn't really have the reaction time to hit ballistic missiles. Alright, so what about our own missiles? Well, they are in flight. Remember, we do have a second flight of incoming missiles that we should be picking up here shortly. Or I think we'd be picking up here shortly. Alright, so there goes our missiles. Hopefully there's no... they don't get intercepted by SAMs. Alright. Here comes the second salvo. Looks like it's just 2 missiles. Nope, there's the rest. Looks like target on the oil pipeline. Oh no. Nope. Oh, looks like they may be going for this oil refinery. Yep. Should have made some overlays for this before I started tonight. Alright, so several suffered malfunctions and just impacted the surface. Some blast damage. We did lose a couple of units there. We did lose a Patriot, or at least some damage to our Patriot battery. All right, where's our missiles, our salvo at? So far no interception. Let's look at the DF3. So DF3, intermediate range ballistic missile. Range of... we'll look at that in a minute. Alright, so 1 malfunctioned and 2 just impacted the surface with no damage. The third one... looks like it just impacted the surface, so basically 3 misses and a malfunction. Not a good start here. Hopefully this one will actually do some damage. So these have a 2,000 nautical mile range. Doesn't say what year they were introduced. I believe these are actually a Chinese missile, if I recall. Alright. So far, no Iranian aircraft are being detected. And let's see how this goes. Please hit. And impacted the surface. So basically no hits. Alright. So the DF3s were pretty much a waste. Let's go with, we will retarget on those same 4 targets with our DF21s. And I'm going to launch against the refineries first, and then I will save the other 2 missiles just in case we have an additional couple misses. Alright, starting to pick up some bogeys now. Alright, so let's get a little aggressive here. Have our... okay, Eurofighters are up. And it looks like the whole squadron is launched. And what I'm actually going to do, I want another... I'm going to create another support mission. And I'm going to call it Rally. That way we can just assign all our aircraft that we want to launch to this Rally mission. So I will go ahead and take these 2 groups that we just launched. Go and assign them to the Rally. So while we wait for them, let's see. Alright, so it looks like we do have an incoming strike, so that's just out of necessity. I am going to have to launch the rest of my F-15Cs. So we'll launch all these guys in groups of 2. We will keep our F-15Ss on the ground for the time being. Yep, that looks like an incoming strike. All right. All right, DF-21s still airborne. Hopefully we get some hits with those. Our Airbus A330 MRTT is airborne. Just out of curiosity. So this has centerline boon and wing drogue refueling. So it can basically refuel everything. I was recently playing through Peel the Onion, and I ran into an issue where I've got a bunch of KC-97s that are in the same wing as B-36s, except they can't refuel B-36s. So I ended up having to use them to refuel B-47s, but it just meant that my B-36s can't stay on station as long. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start angling. Alright, and this one, we're going to send these guys out kind of on a little bit of a dog leg. And try and hit the Iranians when they from the side. How many other air groups? All right, so that should be everybody that we're going to be launching for at the moment. 4 groups of 2. Maybe I don't want to come out quite that far. We'll bring these guys in. Hopefully by the time they go and make their turn, the Iranians have come closer. Although with our... And then I'm going to go and turn, for the moment, radars off on these groups. If they don't know where they're at, I don't want to give that away. Although they are going to... Because they are armed with Sparrows, they are going to have to turn that radar on before they engage, but... And this isn't likely to do much since the Iranians do have a couple of sand batteries along the coast. So the chance of these groups actually remaining undetected is pretty slim, but anything for an advantage here. So we know these are all hostile, so I'm going to go and mark them such. Alright, so Iran facility has been destroyed. So we destroyed one of... Or no. We destroyed 2. We destroyed the Kerman Shah refinery, and we destroyed the NIOC Tabriz refinery. So both of our targets with our DF-21 were destroyed, which means that we can go ahead and launch the second salvo. The Arak refinery. So we're going to go for the Arak refinery and the Isfahan refinery.